Sen jälkeen niitä on ollut lukuisia. Zappa pitää miehensä ja musiikkinsa koko ajan pienessä liikkeessä. Tätäkään ryhmää kapellimestari ei ole suunnitellut pitkäikäiseksi. Helsingissä zappalaiset etupäässä soittivat ja osoittivat musiikillisen taituruutensa. Laulun osuus jäi erittäin pieneksi. Sen sijaan joukkueen uusimmalla levyllä Overnight Sensation on sanallinen anti pinnalla. Lehdistötilaisuus oli vailla vertaansa, sanoi Zappa. Maestro istui ja odotti turhaan. Kukaan ei vaivautunut kysymään. Tiukka valokuvaajien muuri räiskytti valojaan, mutta muuta ei juuri tapahtunut. Tilaisuudesta tehty kuvanauha pääsee Mothersien historiaa esittelevään elokuvaan. Vaan kuinka sitten kävikään? Tuliko tyhmiä kysymyksiä?
Some of them were okay. There weren't very many of them. Mostly it was just people looking at me.
The Blue Jays are trying to make it 2 in a row. Hi again, everybody, and welcome. I'm Dwayne Kuiper, and it's another great night for baseball. Partner, are you ready for this one?
I sure am, Kite. This is going to be a great matchup.
Yeah, I guess it is necessary.
The starter, Wade Miller.
For people who don't know anything about music.
This game features the Toronto Blue Jays and the Boston Red Sox.
But there's no reason to assume they can't be blended together.
How to play the right fielder.
This batter's been known to go on streaks versus right-handed pitching.
Started to make records and so on.
Well, when the Mothers first got together, there was no real political music in the United States. I didn't think there was very much elsewhere either. So, in the first 3 albums, there was a lot of social commentary. And a lot of people didn't like it because they didn't want to hear that stuff. They would rather hear songs that went baby, baby. So we threw in a few baby babies for them.
So you found quite new field and new audience.
Yeah, there was a new audience for it. It wasn't a large audience, but they were interested.
What was your relationship to the theater at that time when you began?
And a strike.
He's registered 9 wins
I always
and
thought
8
that it was an
losses this
interesting
season.
medium to explore with a musical group.
Lifts
A
one to
group that
right.
would also
Line
act out
sharply.
the
That's a base hit.
events that were supposed to take
That's a
place in the
ground
theater.
rule double.
And we worked in a theater in 1967 for about 5 months before we came
Well,
to
they're
New York
lucky
for the
right
first
there
time.
because he was headed for third.
But nowadays you have paid less attention to this theater type of performances. Why did you do that? And
Well, if I could find a group that had the ideal membership, we'd be able to do both. That is, play complicated music and also do theater. But unfortunately, the music that I've written right now is so complicated that
He delivers
the
a
people
strike.
who can play it,
He showed excellent command
I'm
with
not
that
very
pitch, a strike
theatrical.
right on the edge of the zone.
so. And it's also hard to do
His
fancy
pitches
stuff on
consist of a
stage
pretty
when you're
decent
playing that
four-seam
many
heater,
notes.
a so-so slider, and an ordinary changeup.
This season, it's mostly a musical band.
Miller, waste
Or
one.
have you
1 and 2.
decided to leave those
Sometimes you
political
try to
and
make me hit
socially
and chase your
critical
pitch.
things
That's exactly what you saw
totally?
right there.
No, not necessarily. I'd say that the commentary is still there in the music.
Got him.
What would be the most interesting topic right at this moment if you would like to make something political again?
Well, there are plenty of obvious topics, but
And
that's
a
the
strike
problem.
on the
That
inside
when you
corner.
start
He's
thinking
the
about
kind of guy managers just
social
love.
commentary or
His pitching,
political
they refuse to get the right
lyrics,
off.
you can't do anything subtle. You always have to do something really obvious, you know, and that's no challenge.
Strike 3. He got him.
When we first started doing that nobody else was doing it, you know, and after a couple of years,
So they got
a lot
one
of people
base hit,
started
but
doing
couldn't
it.
do anything with it.
And I didn't feel that it was necessary for me to do it anymore in an obvious way.
How about the new coming of old
Here's a
rock
look
and
at how
roll
the
music?
defense
What
sets
do you
up
think
to begin
about
the
that
ball game?
commercial success of that kind of music?
Well, we already did that too, but I guess we did it too early.
But you are not going to do it again.
No.
Dirksen
Time
makes
you
his way
spend
to the plate.
usually preparing maybe a 75-minute show.
And a strike, and
We
it's
rehearse.
0-1.
We rehearse all the time. Every day before we play, we rehearse.
He crushed that one.
Oh yeah, we rehearse before this tour. We rehearse for 3 weeks, 4 days a week, 5 hours a day.
To what extent do your fellow musicians take part in planning and rehearsing the performance?
Well, with this particular band, they just do what I tell them. because they aren't too theatrically oriented.
Next up, Lance Berkman.
It was a little bit
This guy's
different
pretty
with
successful
Marvin
against
Howard,
right-handed pitching.
you know, because they had already done some
Fastball
things
for a
on stage,
strike.
you know, so they had some ideas, and I would let them do the things that they felt natural doing.
He jacked that one way
Have you
back
made
and
your further plans on
gone.
making movies?
Yeah, I'm working on one right now.
What kind of
Big Kite, there are not too many ballparks
monster
over
movie.
held out.
monster movie? And are you maybe going to make experiments with a larger musical works like Lamprey Gray, for instance?
Next at the plate, Miguel
One day.
Cabrera.
It's very
This
expensive,
batter can flat out hit right-handed
and
pitching.
it's also very hard to get cooperation from large numbers of musicians.
Have you ever been invited to the White House? And if you have, would you go?
I have not been invited, but if I was invited, I would go.
You would.
Sure I
There's a
would.
close
Wouldn't
pitch
you?
called the ball.
I would.
Wouldn't you go in there just to go, come on? Sure, just to walk in there and say, what
Hit
am I
towards the
doing?
shortstop. They
That's the
make
silliest
play.
thing I ever heard of.
Okay. Thanks.
Jackson up next. And here's the delivery.
Well, I think that what we do is very impulsive, especially
Painted the corner, great pitch.
Things happen that are based on just that particular moment.
And there's a strike.
Our show is a combination of pieces that we have rehearsed, which include blank spots during which
staying
anything
alive
could
with another
happen.
foul ball.
And the things that happen are based on what happened to you that day when you woke up, or what happened on your way to
They
the show,
checked down
or
at
what the audience
first.
was doing.
He started to swing, but he didn't go through the zone.
The whole environment that I live in is part of the...
Hernandez gets the strikeout.
Well, did your schooling have any effect on your way of
Up
thinking of
next,
musical
Manny
activity?
Ramirez.
Yes, my schooling had a great effect on my musical.
A strike call on the first pitch.
It's all
His
negative.
pitch list consists of a four-seam fastball.
Well, you
and a
were
decent
very
changeup
avant-garde,
and a nice cut fastball.
at least the American way, when you
And a
performed
strike
your
on a
tricycle
changeup.
That is
concert.
pinpoint control right there.
If you
The
consider
catcher set a
yourself
target on the corner,
avant-garde
the
now.
pitcher just hammered it for a
Yes,
strike.
I'm very
The
avant-garde.
home plate out asked for
I'm
help
about
at
as
first.
avant-garde as I have ever been right this very minute.
Jazz has had bad experiences when connected with classical music.
Indeed,
So has
trouble as
worked
it
in
bounces
recent
up
years. How
against
is
the
the
wall.
relationship between Zappa and
Saved.
classic?
He's aboard with a two-out double.
You tell me about the classic, and I'll tell you about my relationship with this particular classic.
Well, I mean,
With the combination of rock and serious writing.
Hernandez delivers, and it's
serious
1-0.
The basic problem of combining rock music with serious writing is whenever it's been done,
Throws
it's
it
been
over for a
done
strike.
for a
He's
sensational
got a couple of pitches that
exploitation
he throws.
type situation, or a special concert perhaps. Where,
1-2 count.
I have been involved in one thing with the Los Angeles Philharmonic where they used the rock to bring an audience to the orchestra, which was
Two
having
balls,
trouble
two
getting an
strikes.
audience. And what usually happens is the orchestra does not play with the same intensity,
It's hit out towards short.
emotional intensity as the
That's
rock
the
group
final
does.
out of the inning with a runner
And
stranded on
so the
second.
performance never really
With
comes
one
off.
inning
And
played,
then you have
the
acoustical
score is
problem
2-0.
of balancing the volume of the electric group against the acoustic group and so forth. Is that too technical?
Hit towards first base.
you seem to be the only rock personality interested in modernist. I mean,
Ground ball,
like
gets
the
it
Covers
short.
and the Sunstores,
There's an out.
How do you see, and what do you think are the
It's a pretty
elements?
rare occurrence
How
to
can
see
you
this
use
right-handed batter
Well,
string
see, I'm not
together
the
a
only
bunch of
person who might be
successful
interested
at-bats
in
versus
Stravinsky.
righty
There are
pitching.
probably some others in rock who are interested in that kind of music, but I believe I was the first one to bring those composers to the attention of
And a pitch high.
young record buying
Guy does
public.
not have a real live fastball.
And the thing that I enjoy
1-1
about
pitch.
those composers is the harmonic languages is
On the
a lot
ground.
more interesting than normal harmonic language.
White
that is used
reaches
in
with
pop
one
music.
down.
Like,
Wells will hit
you know how
next.
rock and roll is constructed? You get a guy with a guitar, see, he knows. If he's starting, he knows 1, 2, or
And a
maybe 3
strike.
chords.
Hey, Kite,
He's
as
been
a
playing
manager,
for
you
3
hate to
years,
see this
and
guy
he's
come
10,
up. His speed
20,
makes him a
maybe
constant
30
threat.
chords. The chords themselves
And it's
are not
0-2.
interesting because
That is
they're
pinpoint
standard
control right
positions
there.
that you put
The
your
catcher
hand
set a
in.
target on the corner,
on
and
the
the pitcher
guitar.
just hammered it for a strike.
When songs are made up out of
That's 3
standard things
strikeouts.
like that,
3 pitches, 3
they
strike,
will
doesn't get
tend
easier
to
than that,
sound
partner.
repetitive, they'll always be the same. So if you're writing for a group of instruments, and each person in that group gets to play one note of a chord, that gives you the chance to make the chord
rolls it
any
over
density
towards
that you
third.
like. It can be
He's
like
around
this,
second.
it can be like that, it can be spread out like that.
He's on with a
And,
2-out
you can
single.
only do that by
Hitting is as
working
much
with,
mental as it is physical, Kuiper. The batter's got to know what he can do and what the situation is at all times.
And so that's what I've come to appreciate, especially in the writing of the rest.
Bukovic is next up.
Voicings of the
This guy isn't great against right-handed pitching, but he does all right.
How did you
Miller
find the
deals a
first
strike.
mother?
The count is 0-1.
we were working in a bar,
He's got a handful of pitches
a
to
beer
choose from.
bar called the Broadside in Sonoma,
He
California.
painted the black with
They
that.
play them.
Did they play anything? Well, they were playing instruments at the time too.
He fouled it off to the right.
I got a phone call from Ray Collins, who is the lead singer from this group. And I had worked with Ray several times on records.
That'll do it for the Blue Jays in the second.
And he was working in this band at this bar, and they had a guitar player, and Ray and the guitar player had a fist fight.
Heading
to
into
keep
the bottom of the
guitar player
second.
up, and
The
they didn't have a
score
guitar
is
player,
2-0.
so they called me and asked me to come down and substitute. So I went down there and said I would look at the band and see what I wanted to play with. And I thought they
Up there on the mound with
were
zero
Ray
stuff.
Collins on vocals and
Fastball on the
harmonica,
outside
Roy
corner
Estrada
for a
on
strike.
bass, Jimmy Carl
That is
Blackman
pinpoint
on
control right
drums,
there.
and Davey
The catcher set a
Coronado
target on the corner, and the
shot.
pitcher just
And
hammered it
Brady
for a
was pretty
strike.
much leading the band.
Sometimes you try to make the hitter chase your
I
pitch.
got
That's
in there
exactly
and
what
I
you
said,
saw right there.
We'll never get
put
anywhere
that pitch
working
right
in
where the
this
catcher
beer bar.
called
Let's
for it. The
learn
batter
some
was simply
original material and go make
overmatched.
records. And Davey Coronado said, no, if you play original material, you'll get
2 balls and 2
fired
strikes.
from these beer joints, because in most places they only want you to play what's on the radio. So
There's a line
I
drive.
talked him into playing some original stuff, and Davey quit. And he's still working in beer joint someplace in
The throw
California.
is not
And
in
then
time.
we got fired because Davey was
Mahomes
right.
got every bit of that ball. That
And we
was
kept
really
getting
a nice
fired
piece
for
of
about
hit.
a year until we finally made a record.
You had some difficulties with the name.
Yeah, because the record
This batter
company
isn't going to turn any heads with this swing.
didn't want to sign a contract with the
Outside.
others.
A ground ball to the right side would be just what the doctor
Because
ordered. Move that runner
you
over
want
to
the real
third.
reason, you want a television reason. In the
That's some
United
serious
States,
heat.
the
96 mile
term
an hour
mother
on the
is
gun,
short for
but it misses for a ball.
And the term motherfucker can be used in a variety of ways.
2-1.
One
He showed
way it
excellent
means
command
somebody
with the cut
who
fastball right there.
stuffs it up
Strike
their
right on
mother.
the edge of the zone.
And another way it means a musician who is supposedly
He
good on
delivers
his
a called
instrument.
strike.
And at the time, in the place where
He
we
showed
were working,
excellent command
all
with
the
that
guys
pitch
who were
strike right on the
in
edge
the
of the
group
zone.
were the best
Got him on
available in
strikes.
Pomona.
Well, you're talking about making a good pitch right there. He was really backed up against the wall, and then he digs
So I
deep,
thought
makes
we could
great
call it
pitches,
just the
and
mother.
gets the strikeout.
As I explained, short for other words.
The next
So
batter is
the
Mike
record company
Lowe.
said, no, you'll never be able to sell any records like that. And they said, if you don't change the name of the group,
It's a
we're not
strike
going
and
to
a
give you a
changeup. No
contract.
balls and
And they
one
wanted to
strike.
call it the Mother's
Okay, the key to
Auxiliary,
scoring runs is cashing
which
in
is a
those
name
run-scoring
that is
situations.
usually
See
attached
if you can
to
knock in that guy's
parent
second school run.
organizations in the States.
Makes the catch
So
to
I
record
said,
the
now,
out.
out of necessity, we will become the mothers of invention.
Dirksen strolls to the plate.
Well, Mother is the only band that
There's
started
the pitch.
to
Is in
put
there for a
political and
strike, and
social
it's
comments
0-1.
as a part of the stage action music.
We were the first one to do it, first group to do it. There were other groups who did it, and they did it for the wrong reasons.
Wells makes the routine
The
catch.
Jefferson Airplane did it to make money, and the MC5 did it to be sensational.
After 2 innings, Boston
We
leads
did
by
it
2.
because, as a matter of fact, most of the rest of the guys in the group didn't want to do
Coming
it.
up this inning, the 1, 2, and 3
I had many
hitters.
arguments with Ray Collins, who was the lead singer of the group, about the lyrics to the songs. He didn't want to say
Strike with a fastball.
Does Zappa music sell better now than 5 or 6 years ago?
It sells faster.
That one's foul, but it
Our
looks like
biggest
there's some
selling
room.
record, two biggest
In
selling records
foul
are Freak Out
territory,
and
makes
Hot
the
Rats.
catch.
Freak Out because it's been available for
I'll tell you
almost
what, this guy can fly. If
and
that
Hot
third
Rats
baseman does
because
not
it
respect
sells
that, don't be
steadily
surprised to see this
month
guy
after
try to lay
month
one
and
down.
has sold a large quantity of records over a long period of time. The last 2 LPs
Fastball for a
sold
strike.
Great
fast,
fastball, right
but
on the
not so
black.
much.
Would have been called strike, even
I
better than
think
swinging.
that the public has grown up to understand
That's a
the
three-pitch
concept of
strikeout.
it.
Ooh, that was by
Well,
in
I
a
should
hurry
think
for
that
strike
after 10
three.
years,
Woohoo.
they would get used to it a little bit more. I don't know whether they understand it better, but it's not so shocking to them to see some of the things that we do.
Stepping in, Mark Teixeira.
I'm sitting here talking to muso colleague Frank Zappa, legend in his own lifetime and leader of the rock religious group, the Mothers of Invention. Mrs. Zappa, how are you?
Right on, brother.
Oh, yes, and funky. What's no shtick, schmuck. Are the boys actually allowed to marry?
Yes.
They are. That's a very progressive sect. Animals, eh?
To the right
They're allowed to
side.
marry animals.
Miller with a 1-2-3.
Oh, how adult, how sophisticated.
The score is 2-0.
Oh, you went to Tasmania then, did you? No.
We didn't go to Tasmania.
You did?
We had the opportunity, but we turned it down.
Did you? Oh, of course, a lot of that goes on there, you know. I'm thinking of playing, Tasmania myself, doing a concert down there. What do you think?
I think that it's probably one of the greatest ideas you've had during this program.
Yeah. It's good to have another string to your knot, isn't it? I actually have another string to my knot. I don't know, have you got a harmonica player in the band? Have you got a harmonica player in the
Not
band?
right now, no.
You haven't? Oh, gee. Well, I'm available at the moment. I don't know. I used to play electric
Wait a
harmonica.
minute, are you really
Misses for
there?
a ball.
When we come down there, will you jam with us at our concert?
It'd be, if I've got the time.
Available.
I'm available here now, but when you come to Australia, I'm a pretty big personality.
Straight up the middle.
But the only thing is, you might have to tone the music down a bit because I used to play electric harmonica, but it gave my lips a lot of static. I used to pick up a lot of lint, and so I stopped. I only play, acoustic harmonica now. Have you got a singer in the band, or all the boys taking a vow of silence?
There's quite a few singers in the band.
Oh, it's a
There's 7.
7.
Play situation. Pitcher's got to try and keep the ball.
They're all good, aren't they? But you haven't got a harmonica.
They're all mediocre.
Yeah, that's I think
It's
it's
rock and roll.
well, if you'd like to have a bit of a jam now. You don't call it that over here, you call it jelly, don't you? You'd like to have a bit of a jelly with you, Well, yeah.
Name it. How about a blues? You wanna play
Do you know
a blues?
Liza with a Z? You don't? Well, whatever you think, I'm playing in the key of
How about folk rock? You're in what key?
folk rock. I love it. I love progressive music.
What key are you in?
Peter, Paul and Mary.
What key is that harmonica?
It's in E. It's
E?
it's an A harmonica, but I play yeah.
Well, we're not exactly in tune.
Use the free
No.
pass.
Well,
He showed us great eye right there. He was aiming for
Okay,
the pitcher
take it
and
away.
ended up with a good pass.
Now, just a shuffle, maybe?
yeah, okay.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, I can't do it. Yeah, come on. Are you a member of the Musos Union? Yeah. Oh, all right, just this once.
But I'll
Okay.
join this time.
Yep.
Just so I can play with you.
Yeah.
Ready?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, go on, yeah, go on.
Cannot be happy with that. Next up to play.
No, that was a good bit. Thank you. That last bit. That was so good. Sounded very good. Sounded very good, Mrs. Zappa. Well, thank you very much, Mrs. Zappa. It was extremely interesting. The boy's got a promising career, and when he comes to Australia, give him a break. Mr. Frank Zappa, Mother Superior of the Mother Superior.
Thanks, man.
Then go through the zone with that swing. No swing. 3-1 count. The count runs full.
All this guy's got to do is call margin and lead. They should score to run for third easy.
Ewan Hiller.
He walked in with the bases full.
The rock scene
in this country often seems so outrageous that you would think it was impossible to satirize, for example. And how can you put on something that itself already seems like put on? Well, my guest tonight is a man who has made a very successful career by doing exactly that. He's Frank Zappa, who's made a name for himself, depending on the person you ask, either as a sincere weirdo, a musical genius, an insincere weirdo, a penetrating social commentator, and so on. And in the 60s and 70s, his group, the Mothers of Invention, was noted for albums with titles like Freak Out, We're Only in It for the Money, also for very bizarre onstage antics involving people making speeches, dolls on stage, large ones, stuffed animals, one of which did something unmentionable at or toward the audience. But even those who went away shocked or puzzled had to admit that there was a real professionalism and a musical skill up in all this in his performances. And a recent Zappa song is called Jewish Princess, which, as usual, has given offense and amusement in about equal parts. And he also has a movie out called Baby Snakes, which he describes as being about people who do stuff that is not normal. But with Frank, I guess the question is, what is normal? Perhaps he can tell us. Will you welcome Frank Zappa?
What a terrific at-bat. It's fouled off the catcher. Here's the pitch.
Ah, you're fastidious as ever.
3-2.
Yeah. Would it be fair to assume that Baby Snakes is
the runners go.
Strike
three.
story, a brittle
After
no
3
color
innings,
comedy,
the Blue Jays trail by a margin of 4.
Is it? Is there anything you can tell us about it that isn't?
I'll tell you, partner, this pitcher's got to be careful. He's got great wheels that can turn a single into a double with ease.
It has animation, it has live musical performance, it has people talking, it has a rubber girl.
I think that's essentially
this one to second.
It's a statement.
Yeah, I walk out of anything that doesn't.
He reaches with a leadoff single.
Should we get some things focused or whatever? Some people have called you simply the forerunner of punk. Do you want to disavow that?
No balls, 1 strike.
Right now, the defense should be thinking, too. The pitcher can really help out by doing something low strikes.
I never asked anybody to put safety pins in their face.
Yeah, well, who did? Why did do that?
The story of punk.
They appeal to first on the check swing.
And always has to do with some guy in England. The guy in England who had a boutique was smart enough to know that no musical trend has ever survived unless you could dress up to it.
He pulls a ground ball to the left side.
Right. All the important musical trends were accompanied by clothing.
I'm not sure how the second baseman kept his balance and made a strong throw to turn 2 on that play.
Cut through right to the heart of the matter and forget about the music and start.
After 3.5, the score is 4-0.
And stuck some safety pins in their face and put some funny clothes on them and said,
up
take
next,
these
Mike Lowe.
The Sex Pistols. And went out and made a bunch of big contracts for them.
Out of the zone, that's a ball.
But to you, that's not worth bothering with, I don't think.
Well, I didn't have anything to do with that, so when people talk about punk, I always say, don't blame it on me. New Wave is a different story, though, because there are bands who are doing
Hit
things
weakly to left field.
Sound really interesting.
Puts it away for the out.
The way they're dressed. The punk was more like screaming and ranting, I don't need you, and I hate
delivery.
You, everything sucks and stuff like that. But the lyrics to some of the New Wave songs are more intriguing.
Who would you recommend?
Dirksen hits one to shallow center.
Well, I just bought an album by a group called The Slits.
Kite, that's not an easy play to make at all. He really flashed the level there.
Stepping in at a perfect 2 for 2. Lance
Berkman. Lucky Number.
He needs to start throwing more strikes if he wants to be around more than a few batters.
Another group called Jerry and the Holograms, who is this 45-year-old guy and his wife from Manchester, England.
She's the Holograms?
She plays a synthesizer, and I think he does all the voices.
Up the middle.
A single. You need any of the stuff for Bigger Bops, he's got it.
He's having a nice game with 3 base hits.
If you're in Utah, but
the next batter is Miguel Cabrera.
Do you want to say anything about disco at this point? I never hear of your being in a disco.
I just want to listen. I go there all the time.
Do you really?
They check with the first base umpire.
I mean, very thorough in sociological study of discos. I know from disco, believe me.
That's a ground. He
And
came
they're
up with
very
it.
uniform, surprisingly.
That'll do it for the Red Sox in the fourth.
Disco fulfills a social function that, you know, some people are saying, well, disco's going to go out. You know. But as long as people want to
After
get
four,
laid,
the score is 4-0.
there will be something like a disco because that's the main social function
Stepping
of a
in,
discotheque. It's a
Wells.
place where people go to pick each other up and do stuff, yeah. And it's a real good excuse. And the other important thing about disco, bearing out what I said before about no popular musical trend surviving without some sort of clothing trend to go along with it, the disco is a place where you dress a certain way, you know, to be part of that lifestyle. So,
And the pitch.
together, you can act disco, you can have a disco outlook, and then spend your time and your money tweezing around in those places.
Let's confront
Swing and a miss, struck him out.
the Jewish
He
princess
gets ahead of him and never looks back. Sweet
This is a
strikeout.
record that I think I had some of the lyrics. It was
The count's
a little hard
0-1.
to find
Great pitch in the black.
words to
Would have been
select
called strike
that
even if the batter
when
didn't swing
the
through.
whole problem started up again. But I think people might get the idea that from the first four lines, I
Liner
wanted
right
to
after
ask you what
shortstop.
a Jewish princess with long phony nails
He's
and
on
hair
first with a
rinses,
base hit.
horny little Jewish princess
Kite,
with the
pitcher
garlic
just
aroma
tossed
that
up a
could level
fat one there. I mean,
Tacoma.
it looked like a beach ball.
And then there's
And the rest of it?
there's a great deal more here, but perhaps even holding
What a
it up.
catch.
Just wave it like that.
Take this thing right out of midair.
While the ADL incenses itself.
But the ADL, or Anti-Defamation League, came down on you, I believe.
I was their mate for one season. Yeah. Let me put it to you succinctly. I think that any ethnic group that maintains a public relations
Line
agency
drive right
like
to the
ADL,
shortstop.
whose job it is to manufacture a uniform
He reaches with a
image of the
single.
whole ethnic group.
From the time that ball left the bat,
I mean,
that
that's
ball had
crazy.
no chance of being
You
caught.
can't expect that people are going to buy that. You can't just swave over the image of the whole ethnic group.
So it probably doesn't come as a surprise to you that some people were offended by that, because there are such organizations that
Well, I think that particular
ought to be offended by.
That ball is driven
particular
deep,
organization
and
is
you can
probably
forget
one
it.
of the most vocal organizations of any ethnic PR group that's around.
From the second
But
that
I
ball
just
comes
thought
off
that
the
it was
bat,
uncalled for in
everybody
my
knew it was
case.
out of the yard. That
Do you
was
run
a
into
shot.
that thing where people say, I'm a Catholic, so I can tell a Catholic joke, and is Zappa Jewish? If you were, then it would be better.
Well, that's what I thought when they first started complaining about it. But then I heard from some people who had other experiences
Next up,
with the
Mark
ADL
Teixeira.
that they don't care. Apparently, they pick on Jews too.
How so?
I heard from a
0-1.
man who used to be the
Great
program
fastball,
director at
right on the
KCUT
black.
in
Would have been
Los
called strike,
Angeles,
even if
the
the batter didn't swing
educational
at it.
station out there. And he had had many confrontations with the ADL. And he knew of some instances where plays and things that they had run on
And
the
here's
air
the
there
delivery.
that had some
A
Jewish
3-pitch
content that
strikeout.
didn't
Score
meet
3,
with
that
the
half
approval of
inning.
the ADL, that the lady who wrote the play was having a lot of trouble with the ADL. So that's what I mean.
This
They're
guy's
trying to
pretty good
homogenize
against
the
right-handed
image of the
pitchers.
entire ethnic group. I mean, they're all different kinds of Jews.
Jackson takes one
There's all
inside.
different kinds of
Sometimes you try to make the hitter chase your
and to
pitch.
just hold
Exactly
up
what you
this
saw right there.
You know, it reminds me of
A ball.
They're going to have to do
a
something
long
out
time
there. Some
ago,
of these
used to
pitches
be
ain't even
the
close.
boardwalk, you know, and they got these flat things with people painted on them, and you stick your head through.
You could throw baseballs at them or have your picture taken.
Yeah, and have your picture taken as somebody
2-2
in
the count.
the muscle man pose. I mean, that to me is what it seems like that they're trying to do.
Yeah, all
It's a
organizations
full
like that
count.
seem
He's hitting
seem to have the
275
assumption that
with 14
they're
long
reacting for
balls and
everybody
81 RBIs.
named in the title. And if I were a member of that group, I would say, well, if
One
you ask
away.
me, I may or may not be offended.
Hey, I'm sure he came out here with the intention of having a great game, but hey, it's baseball. Sometimes things just don't work out the way you planned.
From people who were in fact Jewish, who wrote me and said, "Hey, that was a really nice song, and I'm not offended at all." Lorraine Newman was one. She called me and she said, "I am a Jewish princess, and that song is true and it's funny, and I like it." And then another guy sent me a letter saying, "Well,
The
do you
ball
think
is hit
you
down
got
the line.
problems?" He shows. He sent me a clipping from some publication that
first
showed
with a base
that
hit.
some time ago, when they were republishing the Arabian Nights, the ADL tried to alter some part of the Arabian Nights.
He may have been injured on the play. Let's hope it's not too severe.
The
Blue Jays bring in a new pitcher. They're going to the pen.
To modify the publication to suit.
Well, I think this storm will probably ride or blow itself out.
It already has, because since it is a PR organization, I mean, this might get
strike three, and he's gone.
If this goes on the air again, but since it is a PR organization, I was only good for copy for their organization.
Here comes the first pitch of the
at-bat. You hear about Jewish princes.
Pitch misses for a
ball. You get your ADL point of view in the newspapers and run that for a while. Okay, then it blows over, and you're not going to get
misses outside.
Column inch.
Sometimes you try to make
the thing that irritated me most about them coming after me was the fact that some
ball outside
who took it upon themselves to criticize me.
He delivers.
Authorized representatives
he walks
of the
him on
ADL,
4 pitches.
Had the audacity to accuse me of being anti-Semitic, to accuse me as a person of being anti-Semitic, which I'm not. And this goes into print in various places, and I have no way to refute these people. I'm not going to track down every article that was
on the ground. He laid out
and say, no,
and
this is not true. I mean, I like them.
Out number 3, side retired.
I mean, it doesn't play.
Once it's out, people can say, I read somewhere where he said this.
Right, yeah. And there have been 2 business deals that I was involved in.
After 5 innings, the score is 4-3.
Where problems arose because people were afraid to do business with me because they felt that I was anti-Semitic. And so now it gets into a situation where I believe my rights have been violated to a certain degree by improper statements in the press by this PR firm. And if I had a lot of money and a lot of time, and if I was a vindictive person, I would go out there and see their butts off. But I'm a nice guy, and I'm not going to do it. You just have to realize that they have their job to do.
Gets it on the ground to third.
And he's
out. Well, they do have their job to do, I guess. That's the...
Yeah, but they don't have to do it.
Better pounds the ball off right-handed pitchers.
But there probably are times when their reason for being is something that you would agree with.
Sure, but I mean, I have difficulty.
He hits it over towards second.
With the tactics sometimes.
Got him for the out.
Difficulty with the idea of censorship. I just don't buy it.
Censorship. Yeah. Once it seems to be that,
the bases are empty.
Before I leave this out, years ago I heard that you had just had a pile that you had named Moon Unit. And everyone broke up laughing and thought, what a wonderful idea.
And it's inside.
Yeah, that's her name. She's 12 years old now.
What do friends call her?
Call her Moon.
Moon. Yeah.
2 ball, 1 strike count.
Can you explain the name?
Or Moon.
Did it occur to you that perhaps a child named Moon Unit might have certain
3
problems
balls,
with
1
the name?
strike.
Sometimes you try to make a hitter chase your pitch.
That
That's
a
exactly
person who
what you
has
saw
a name
right
like
there.
Mary is going to have some problems too.
Fouled away.
But not because of the name so much. You have to,
Sure.
I mean,
How do you tell yourself from the next one?
Miller with the 3-2 pitch.
Get the drift?
So you're going to have everybody saying,
terrific at bat right here.
I might.
Well, you might. Well, who do you find weird, Frank?
He goes out to right.
Well, it's
the
I
catcher's
wouldn't want to
made.
single out any
He get on that ball.
and
Fielder
put a
strolled
stigma
over,
on
got
it.
under
It's
it, and
almost
he's
like
playing.
describing him as being anti-Semitic. To have me go on
Next at the
and
plate,
say,
Mike
this
Lowe.
person is weird. That would be
This
a
batter is
stigma.
nothing special when he's facing a righty on the mound.
Sort of label on someone that you don't want to put him on.
Well, I know some people who are weird, but I don't want to name them.
He swung through
Bring
the
some
pitch.
initials out of you.
That was a perfect pitch, partner. Right on
Do
the
people
edge of
like the
strikes,
right
and the
kind
batter
of
swung
music
right
to your
through
way
it.
of thinking?
Strike 3 sends him back to the dugout with nothing to show for that
craze,
AB.
which obviously goes beyond music and has seemed to be even greater in death almost than in his lifetime. With those still standing vigil at the tomb, the worshippers, and all of that. Just speaking of him musically,
The 0-1 pitch.
is he overrated?
Always never
Misses outside with the fastball.
Christmas card from him.
They're going to have to do something out there. Some of these pitches ain't even close.
Of 100, 200,000 a year.
And he
But I
swings
didn't
and
really
misses.
care for Elvis Presley, not for anything personal. It's just that I'm not a rockabilly fan.
No, what?
A rockabilly.
Rockabilly.
The count is 2-2.
My theory is that music is good. It's the only religion that delivers the goods. And anybody who wants to hear any kind of music is entitled to hear that music because it's good for you. It makes you feel good. If you like it, go for it.
The ball is
Just because I
pulled to
don't
the right
like it doesn't
side.
mean anything. It's a matter of personal taste.
Many people probably still wonder how I know I do.
Up next, Lance
Serious
Berkman.
musician. I know you consider yourself a serious musician. You've been called a genius. But
This guy loves to whack balls up high.
But genius is a word that gets so easily to us, and in music is often
Fouls it off.
applied to anybody who knows
Their
more
big
than
hitter
four
is
chords
taking
on a
his
guitar.
practice
That's
cuts
a
on
problem,
deck.
yeah.
Hendrix was a genius musician, we're told. I've heard musicians say
This
Hendrix
one's
did
got a
things that
chance if it stays fair.
When you're called that, do you take it seriously yourself? Do you feel in some way the reason
He's telling me the difference between a genius and a loaf of bread, and I pay attention to him. The average person who comes to me and says, "You're a genius," well, I'll just take it with a grain of salt.
they're very loose to have to cut from. If Leonard Bernstein said it, would that then be nice?
It depends on when he would say it.
I think
Cabrera
anytime.
takes one inside.
Well, not necessarily, because he's got a pretty good sense
The
of humor,
1-0.
too.
Oh, he might have his tongue in one or the other, too.
Pitch misses for a ball.
Stick it in. I had dinner with him one time. You probably wouldn't remember because we were all sitting at this table at
And the
it's a
count
place
is
called
3-0.
Red Sox that used to be next to the film where we used to.
He delivers.
And I was sitting there with him and some of the guys from
He
Chicago.
walks him on
and
4
they
pitches.
the
That's
origin of
walk
the
number
filter pitch.
5 allowed in this game.
And I never knew very much anything.
What the word meant, though.
It's Phil.
Oh, sure. Yeah. It's that
But he was talking about how they do
This
it.
dude
and
just
going into
knows
these
how to
matches
steal
and
the
starts
back.
to
He's got
stack
his
them.
film, he's got his pictures.
Sounds pretty good.
Trying to apply all that right now.
Filthy Fish Symphony. I often wonder with some people what their day is like, and you're one of those
Jackson
people.
lays
Maybe
off
once
high
years
for a
ago.
ball.
Yeah, but
Doesn't tell him what happened.
I often, yeah, what did?
Splitter misses away.
Let me tell you about the
Sometimes you
time.
try to make the hitter chase your pitch. That's exactly
See, I
what you
had
saw
never
right
seen
there.
a television show before. This is what
The count is full.
I'm the only one who had never seen this show before. I didn't know what he
Cabrera
looked like.
is off. He hits a line drive the other way. He's on his way to
Whenever you
third.
do live music on television, it's
It's a
lots of
single.
that, believe me, especially
In fact, the runner made a heads-up play there to go from first to third of a single. That kind of hustle
how
wins
the
ball
instruments
games.
are set up, the drums are set up, the amps are set up, right? The rest of the guys in the band had gone out to get something to eat. And Ainsley Dunbar was
Ramirez
the drummer
steps
major
into
at that
play.
time. He was very
This
impressive
right-hander
person
is
about
a pretty
having
solid
touch
hitter.
his drums. And so I'm waiting around the studio and I hear this banging on the drums and excuse me. And I look over and there's this guy. He had a little cap on and muffler and we're sitting at the drums and we were playing Ainsley's drums. I said, hey, you better not do that. Ainsley's going to be mad. And he said,
I played with the guy's drums.
It's hit out towards short. That'll do it for the Red Sox in the 6th.
and he said, don't worry.
After
it's my
6
show.
innings, the score is 5-3. Today's game is brought to you by EA Sports. EA Sports, it's in the game.
That doesn't sound
Hey,
like me
Kite, as
at
a manager,
all.
you
Well,
hate to
it's
see this guy
Sullivan.
come up. His speed makes him
Well,
a
it would
constant
have been a
threat.
good story if it was Ed Sullivan. He'd been dead for years.
Even then.
They've got the tying run in the on-deck circle.
Then and now. This sounds like the terrible title for a magazine article or something. But I know a friend of mine went to London some years back to cover music for a
Wells
magazine.
lines this one to
when he
left
got there,
field.
they said somebody
He gives
been
up
writing that
everything
sort
to
of
get
thing
that
said
ball
you got
back
here too late. It's all over.
Here's a guy
With
that
Brock,
understands
it's
hitting,
gone.
and it shows.
I heard that in 1956
The pitch
or
is hit to
57
center
when
field.
articles were coming out in the paper saying, it's over, forget it.
Berkman
Calypso
makes
is
the grab for the out.
And that lasted about 15 or 20 minutes, and then after that, there was a rumor that Fats Domino
The
was
delivery.
dying of cancer of the throat. You ever hear that one?
Bukvich
You hear that about
sprays
so
it
many
to left.
people, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's the
1,
call is
2,
dead
3,
syndrome.
and the inning is over. All right, everybody, up on their feet. Time for the 7th inning stretch.
Yeah, I could use a bit of a break.
Go out and enjoy it. I mean, people who tell you that whole segments of the musical world are just going to wither away at a moment's notice don't usually know what they're talking about. It's the ones that tell you about the new thing that's coming.
And here's the delivery.
Because nobody can predict that.
A ball.
Was when they asked this questions about where it's going. Yeah.
But the difference between rock then and rock now
Misses outside. Sometimes you try to make a hitter chase your pitch. That's exactly what you saw right there.
the hard work for doing
What's used to build it. Yeah. But there were things attached to rock that aren't anymore. It seemed to have all
Pitch
tied up
taken
with
for a ball. Sometimes you try to make a hitter chase your pitch.
those
That's
things.
exactly what you saw right
It
there.
seems to form a popular music.
I think it always
Payoff
was
pitch
more than
coming.
popular music, and the attachments to movements and things like that were
That's
devices
3
of media.
strikeouts.
It's very difficult for media to talk about music in the United States
Hey,
without
falls behind,
attaching
makes great
some
pitches, however, comes all the way back and
message
gets
to
the
it.
strikeout.
Because since this is an industrial society, and that's really the bottom line, unless something performs
This guy isn't great against right-handed
the
pitchers.
same
He does
function
all right.
of an industrial nature, who needs it? So consequently, we don't really care about whether there are any composers in America, or if there's any good music being played, or if there is any musical
Takes
culture. It's all
pitch
just
just off the plate, 1-0.
type stuff. And so, in order to make rock and roll
2 balls in, no
reportable
strike.
to the rest of the
Like the
country,
pitcher and catcher have
large,
strategy in mind.
intellectual
So far,
type
the batters are
movements in
taking
a
it.
city such as this would take a song which probably meant "Let's Go Dance" and attach some
the pitch.
supersonic symbolism to it and start claiming poetry where there was none. I mean, you remember Lizard King poetry, don't you?
Lizard King. No.
Mahomes strikes out swinging. Kike, every once in a while, you just got to reach back and
That's
come up
what
with a good
Jim
strikeout.
Morrison wrote some poems, remember? There was the Lizard King, and then there was Lizard King poetry. And, publications writing for centuries about the metaphysical content of horse latitudes and so forth. And, hey, come on, baby, light my fire.
The
That's
Red
bottom
Sox
line.
will send up a pinch hitter.
Is there any particular song of yours
Here's
now
the
that expresses your philosophy these days? Or,
Damon could be a very key factor in the game. He can really produce runs for his team. They'll need every run they can get.
For us
The pitcher flat out
Sure.
challenged him, and he couldn't touch that diving splitter.
Let's see, what can I possibly recite to you that will...
Dancing
3
forward.
pitches, 3 strikes.
Oh, that's a safe one, I don't know much about dancing, that's why I got this song. One of my legs is shorter than the other, and both my feet's too long.
With 7
Of course,
innings
now,
played,
right
the
along with
score
them,
is
I got
5-3.
no natural rhythm. But I
For
go
more on
dancing
MVP
every night,
baseball, log on to
hoping everything will be all right, 'cause
EASports.com.
I'm a
EA
dancing fool.
Sports, it's
That's
in the
it.
game.
Now that sounds fairly harmless, and yet some of your stuff could not be done even if the microphones weren't on and the cameras
pitching
weren't.
change
Well, you
will
have
be
to
made.
understand
They're
the
going to the
reason why.
bullpen.
It's not my fault, because the problem with lyrics stems from a primitive belief in this country that there are certain words
He
in
swiped
our
10
language
bases.
that will corrupt you instantaneously the moment they are uttered into the atmosphere.
Something awful will
He
happen.
crushed that one.
Come on, let's be reasonable about this. I mean, that's
Cabrera
like
caught it at the wall.
He ran out of real
it's
estate
so
there, but luckily the ball
stupid
ran out of
that
juice,
the
and he
idea
was
like
able to
that
make the catch to the
persists
wall.
in industrial society. And
Hey,
because
partner,
of these
this dude could
attitudes,
fly.
because people have
Infielders have to
spent
be on their toe and
money
alert for the
to
bunt.
build agencies
Davis with
to
a
make
blast to
sure
deep
that
center
there's this whole
field.
hierarchy of people
He's rounding
waiting for
first.
these magic words to occur in the airwaves. And they're just, they're hovering. You
There's
can't
a
see them, but
three-base
they're
hit.
all around here.
God, you don't see too many players that can fly around the bases like that. Great
all these
triple.
things up here that shoot a mask over your mouth and you don't see anything. They have them in radio stations. They have them in all television stations. They have them everywhere. And even at
Are you ready? He's about to say something awful.
No, I don't need it because
The Blue
the
Jays
fact of the
have
matter
activated
is
the
that everybody
bullpen.
already knows what I'm talking about. So if they know what I'm talking about, why can't I say it?
That's right.
The next batter is Mark
You
Teixeira.
induced them in their mind. They don't think.
Yeah, I'm making you think dirty.
Quite a feat, actually.
Making you think it all is a really rough one, but you start them off by thinking
The Red
dirty,
Sox
and then,
are making a change on
you get that
defense.
sensation.
There's a new first
Well, I hope
baseman
you're
coming
proud
in.
of yourself. You should have your mind washed out with a bar. So,
No
Frank,
balls and 1 strike.
in the
All he's got
remaining,
to do right now is drive that ball
one
down.
thing that's always surprising reading about you is your, for want of a better phrase, anti-drug stand, or the fact that you people think any rock musician is a pharmacopoeia of drugs.
That's a 3-pitch strikeout.
This dude did not bring his A game in.
Is any of that put on?
Don't use drugs. I don't like drugs. I don't like what drugs do to people. I don't like to hang out with people who are drunk and you throw up on me. And I don't like to hang out with people who are drugs who can fall
There's
on
a
me.
two-out RBI.
And
Hit that ball on the ground hard enough to get past the
people
infield
ask
for a
me about
base
this
hit.
all
That
the
ball
time.
was
And I said, drugs are bad for you, but I'm not your dad. You want to use drugs, go ahead. Just stay away from me. I don't like the way it smells when they smoke it. And I don't like to
corners
see
are
people
close
with
to the
needles.
line.
And the idea of people
Cody
sticking
digs
things
in at
up
the
their
plate.
nose in order to be groovy is really repulsive. This is, it's just not my favorite.
Just off the plate, 1-0.
And that's another reason why I can't get any songs on the radio.
Have you had any personal bad? Have you lost good friends to?
Well, I haven't seen anybody die, but I've seen people go vegetable. I've seen people who, after considerable usage of chemicals that were originally designed to be used as
He
warfare
swiped 4
agents,
bases.
and we all know what they are, wound up in a state where they had a lot of trouble with their shoes, let alone speaking the language. I mean, people who used to be
knows how to pick a pitch to
wound
move
up
on.
being
Don't be surprised if
bad
he's taking off right here.
This didn't come from. This has been something you've always
2-2.
felt. It's not from
He's
seeing it around you to the
310.
point where you're or trying
21
and
long
having a bad
balls
experience
and
yourself.
76 runs batted in.
Let's put it this way. I have, in my lifetime, smoked
3-2.
10 marijuana cigarettes. And invariably got a sore throat, and it made me
The
sleepy.
runner
And I
at first
could
is
never
off.
understand why
That'll do it as we
people
go to the
would
bottom of the
keep
inning.
smoking this stuff and say how high they were getting, because it just seemed like it was a waste of time. I thought somebody
Going into the bottom
was,
of the 8th, the score is
my leg.
5-4.
You heard that one?
I don't know. Can you say that on television? Yeah, I think so.
Stepping in, Mike Lowe.
Frank, it's been a pleasure talking to you. The time has shot past us, and nice having you here. Frank Zappa. See you next time.
Pitch misses. Fastball misses inside. Koplo comes with the 2-1 pitch. That's in foul.
In the 1960s, my first guest founded a band called the Mothers of Invention, and through live performances and as such albums as Weasels Ripped My Flesh and Burnt Weenie Sandwich, he established a reputation as a brilliant musician and an exciting performer. This is an album of his latest work, ladies and gentlemen, Zappa Volume 1. We're delighted to have him back with us tonight. Please welcome Frank Zappa. Nice to see you again. I want to thank you for coming by last night and helping us out. And when you were here last night, you said that when you came back tonight, there was something you wanted to talk about. Do you remember what you said that was?
Yeah, I thought that one of the important topics that we could discuss in the show, such as you've been conducting tonight, and this really fits in, is brown lipstick in the corporate suite.
Brown lipstick in the corporate suite.
Yeah.
All right, you go first.
Okay. Well, I think that nobody really looks good with brown lipstick on. So why do these guys in the corporate suite keep wearing it? And how does it get there? This is one of the problems facing us today. And what do you think?
Have you run into this a lot, Frank?
Yeah.
And
I was at CBS yesterday.
CBS, and men and women alike were wearing the brown lipstick.
They do.
Boy, I don't know.
See, you're lucky. You have the little blue cards to go like that.
That's right. I can keep that from happening. We have folks who have come specifically to the show tonight to hear about your latest album, the London Symphony Orchestra, performing heretofore unrecorded Frank Zappa works. How do you get the London Symphony Orchestra to do your stuff?
You pay them.
Yeah. But isn't this a really prestigious organization?
Of course. So you pay them a lot of money.
Yeah. And did you flew to London to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind if I read something from the liner note here?
Good.
Musical information. This is the first recorded performance of these works. It goes on. As with every performance of new music, errors will occur. Every effort has been made to remove these, but without a much larger budget for rehearsal and recording time, the possibility of perfection in a premiere situation such as this is somewhat remote. Now, what does that mean exactly?
That means that anytime somebody writes a piece of music that nobody's ever seen before, and you hand that music to a musician, unless they have sufficient time to rehearse it and get all the details worked out, the chances of an absolutely perfect performance are not good. And given the amount of money that I had to spend to produce an album of orchestral music, and the fact that I had a fixed amount of time because of their schedule to do this, that it would be humanly impossible to play works of this complexity absolutely perfect.
Yes.
But we tried.
Now, how close did you get?
I would say that considering the amount of editing that was done to remove bad notes played by various people, that we're up to about 75% on this record.
Well, that's a pretty good deal, isn't it?
Not too bad.
Now, did you feel driven by integrity to put this on here, or is this common procedure?
No, that was just, I have a personal relationship with my fans where I don't mess around.
Yeah.
And I wanted to let them know that if they listen to this and expected that was exactly the way it was supposed to be, it's not. It can be played better, but only in a situation where somebody spends more time to rehearse it.
Is it possible that at some point you would go back with bigger budget and more rehearsal time and do it again, or is this it?
Well, you have to understand how I get my budgets. You know,
how do you get them?
I get them from fans spending money for buying records.
Yeah.
If a certain amount of money comes in, then I'll turn that money around and I'll do another project. I spent everything that I could spend to do that. So it's doubtful that I will be making another record of those works. Another orchestra may record it, but I can't afford to do it.
Yeah, well, it's very refreshing that you have that approach. I mean, just pretty much explaining to the folks what's going on.
I think you should be fair with it. Especially people who come here wearing shorts and stuff.
Okay, we got to go away for a commercial. We'll be right back, though, to continue talking with Frank Zappa. Frank Zappa is here. We mentioned the album digital, by the way. Is there any way you can quickly explain to me what this means as opposed to the old steam-powered recordings we played as kids?
It means that the original tapes for this recording were made on a digital medium with no tape hiss and more refined sound. And
this is state-of-the-art stuff, right?
It's the good stuff.
Yeah. You also, I was reading some things about you this afternoon. In one newspaper interview, you mentioned that you'd like to have your own talk show.
Around 1968, I tried to do that. I set out to convince people in television that I should talk to people on TV. And I gave a list of the kinds of people that, when I made my proposal to the TV people, I would say I would have these kind of people on.
What kind were they?
Well, I don't remember who it was, but they didn't like the list, that was for sure.
Who did you make this proposal to?
I think it was NBC.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, yeah.
That's kind of surprising they wouldn't go along with you.
There's no accounting for taste. Really.
Now, but just take a second here and think again. Maybe this is putting you on the spot, but who would you, if you had a show, really, would you be interested in letting America take a better look at?
Well, what I would have done at that time would be to take people who were in politics and put them on next to each other on a couple of chairs with people from rock and roll or from the arts or just people that you wouldn't normally expect to confront each other and let them hack it out.
Yeah. It was always a kind of a, not necessarily a dream, but an interest of mine that if he had a talk show, and as it turns out I have one.
You lucky guy.
But to get somebody, not unlike the gentleman we pantsed earlier tonight, bring him down and maybe once a month, once a week, whatever, just love it.
My name is Craig Letta. I'm a maintenance engineer here, and I just made all of this work.
Well, what did
what
did you do?
Specifically?
Yeah.
Hooked up 2 microphones, a camera, which should not work in this at all, but it does. And that's about it.
Okay, well, let's just get started here.
This
For those of you who don't know, this is a PZM microphone, which is a really nice device, and it's one of the reasons why we're able to have a stereo dialogue track on this very cheaply produced show. This was hooked up so that Thomas Nordic, the guy who was holding the camera, could actually wear it on his head like this, so he could get very good stereo sound when he was taking these kind of pictures. Now on a show like this, with these kind of production values, it's so important to have everything looking good and sounding good. That's why we have spared no expense, including $90 an hour to make this television special, to bring you the real world of compact video. This is the best of the San Fernando Valley. I'll tell you what, would you mind wearing this?